Hi everybody and welcome to a piano review video here on the Merriam Pianos YouTube channel. Today's video we're covering Kawai's ES120. We're going to be talking about the action, going through their sounds and all of the other features and sharing with you my opinions as a professional piano player. Let's dive right in with the ES120. So on the channel we love to do comparisons, but sometimes I know the viewers out there really just want a nice deep dive on the individual instrument. So today that's exactly what we're doing on the ES120. We're going to start with sound and right off the hop let's get to the specs. 192 notes worth of polyphony coming to you through a pair of 10-watt newly reconfigured speaker boxes compared to the ES110. We've got tone ports in the top that actually work. These, you can get your ear up to that, and there's a significant amount of high-end detail coming out of those tone ports. It's a very nice round tone that you get out of this piano. There's a surprising level of richness and complexity and thickness in the mid-range, which is something that is so often lacking when you are talking about stage pianos in this price range, or really any price range when you're discussing onboard speakers. Usually you've got some sort of like a little lower end boominess and nice crispy treble, and there's kind of this void in the middle. Somehow the ES120 manages to avoid that and deliver a lush, nice full mid-range. Which for people who play a lot of solo piano, they are going to love this. Let's be honest, when you're playing piano on your own, most of what you're doing is in the middle of the piano. And so when we're talking about mid-range, we're not necessarily talking about the middle of piano, we're talking about the middle of the sound, because of course every piano tone is made up of many, many partials. So we're really talking about sort of those first one or two partials that produce sort of the mid-range. But that is what makes a piano sound full when you're playing in this kind of area of the instrument. It's using the SKEX sample set that they've used in past. That is a full stereo sample, individual note stereo sample. They also have the EX loaded on here. They don't specifically say whether that's an individual stereo sample, or at least they haven't in some of the news releases I've seen. So unquestionably where they want you focused is on that SKEX. Makes sense, that's their flagship acoustic piano, that's what they've loaded on here. And for sure, comparing it to any of the other piano samples that they've got on here, the SKEX is definitely the most satisfying. They've got a number of other tones on here, but I think the total number of sounds is 25 when you go all the way through it. By just pressing these category buttons, you can access, it'll cycle through all of the options without having to remember where you are in the sequence on the keys, which is actually kind of nice. Yeah, like I'm pretty sure that EX sample is not like a multi-layered sample. Or if it is, it's 2 layers at most. Yeah, you can hear a little bit of stepping in there, I think. None on that main prime SKEX sample. like a good old upright. Back to the top. There are also some really great E pianos in there. I'm a big fan of the first one. And then the others, really nice lush string sound. I've said this on a couple of the comparisons. I don't think this is the same as what was on the ES110. I do know that the reverb engine's been improved on the 120 over the 110, and they've got the tone ports. So, you know, between those two things, maybe that's the only difference that I'm hearing on the strings. But even if that's all it is, it's a big difference. I think that's Don Juan. couple of basses. This comes with a registration, so you can set a few different combinations of sounds that you find that you like. Not that there's like a huge amount to dig through here, so this is really, I guess, just if you had specific settings other than the sounds that you wanted to save. I believe all of that will save to the registration, not just the choice of patch. So 25 sounds, 20 watts, rated watts, which is, you know, as some of our viewers will point out, is not the same as actual watts, but rated watts, essentially just what the impression of the power of the instrument or the power of the speakers is. But a nice, really high, full quality sound out of these speakers. Really warm mid-range. That's probably the most impressive part about the tone, when, especially when you're playing it along with that SKEX sample. Let's now move on to action. We'll be back in just a second. So this instrument is still equipped with the RHC action, and that's great. The RHC action was definitely a, you know, it felt pretty good, and especially for the price point. The only other action that I really strongly preferred was the PHA-4 from Roland in that price range. But this has an improved RHC action. There's better reinforcement under the key bed, and there's better cushioning. So that should lead to you know, this to feel a lot better under more strenuous use, should lead to a more durable action as well under more strenuous use, both of which are very good things. And particularly when we're talking about playing acoustic piano and into some higher level stuff, because I think maybe what Kawai got a little surprised by was the piano tone and the speaker quality on the ES110 was so high. You had a lot of high-end players actually using the ES110 as a practice instrument, as a secondary instrument. And I think the level of abuse that the instrument received vastly exceeded Kawai engineers' expectations. I think they kind of built it as an, you know, as a starter piano. It's not a noisy action at all. The mechanical sound is dramatically lessened, and there was a little flex that you could feel before when you were really laying into the 110. On the 120, it's just as solid as a rock. The surface of the keys also looks like they have changed it a little bit. They always had matte, but it seems like the texture of these matte keys are now a little closer to what you'd find on like the RH3. Not exactly the same, but they're definitely closer. Whereas before, it just didn't have quite the same premium, you know, feel to it. This looks more expensive, and it definitely feels better to play. Other than that, the circuitry behind it, the double sensor, all of that stuff remains the same as what the ES110 did. So to get the triple sensor, you'd have to go up to like the KDP-120, which of course is not portable, or the ES520, which I believe has the RHC2 action in it as well, along with the KDP-120, both having that triple sensor, but not with the escapement. This, on the other hand, no escapement, double sensor, but more reinforced, quieter, just generally all around, feeling good and up to the task of some heavier classical playing for people who are going to be using this as like a practice instrument or dorm room instrument, that kind of thing. So here's a couple of quick specs on the Action. We're going to be back with our third quick section on other features. So in terms of other features and aspects of this instrument, it largely is the same as what the ES110 was, but the interface is dramatically improved. Anybody who knows the ES110, I think there was like 3 or 4 buttons. The labels weren't very descriptive. I mean, you really needed to spend quite a bit of time with the user manual to be able to navigate this. They've now expanded the number of buttons, which definitely helps to navigate this instrument a little bit better. The overall look of the instrument is feeling super up to date. Like, this feels like a nice, modern, elegantly designed digital piano given the price point that we're talking about. And in US dollars, we're still well under the $1,000 mark. Now, no instrument is perfect. This one has a couple of pet peeves in mind. One, there's no little cheat sheets, you know, behind the keys. Now, I know that there's a split opinion on this from an aesthetic standpoint that kind of cheapens the look of the instrument to have these like little guides or little cues as to where various functions line up on the keys. Roland does this. I know Casio does this. Kawai doesn't do this. Some past models, they used to give you like these little cheat stickers that you could put there. But for this, you're just going to need to dive in and dig for what you want to do and look at these rather intricate, well, they're not that intricate, it's just you really have to kind of like dig in and figure out what key is which and know what you're looking for, and then you've got the ability to edit a whole bunch of things. The instrument has dual mode, it has split mode, and virtually all of the things you can edit with the app you can also edit on here, but you do need to go through those codes, or those shortcut keys, or short keys, we'll call them. The instrument does come with an available matching stand. You can get it with a triple pedal as well. It's really quite attractive, actually, as a full package. Another thing is it adds Bluetooth audio, so you can stream Bluetooth audio in. It's got independent Bluetooth audio volume. Again, it's a shortcut, but just Bluetooth, and it's the bottom 2 keys up and down. So that's very handy, because in some of the previous iterations of Kawai products, you actually didn't have independent Bluetooth input volume control. So you either had to do it from the input device, which I mean is fine, but if you've got it all the way turned up and you can't go any louder, and you have the piano already as loud as you want over here, then you're kind of stuck. So this allows you now a third point of modulation of the volume, which is very handy for playing along with something. It has an onboard recorder as well as the ability to record USB audio to a USB key. You can connect this by USB, but not through the traditional 5-pin DIN anymore. They got rid of that, to a PC, Mac or PC. So you can use this as an input controller for all of your popular DAW software. So in other words, this basically does what you would expect a mid-range 88-note digital piano to do in terms of all of its other features and functionality. The really big deal, coming back to really the top of the video, is that the combination of the improved action, the improved reverb and some of the DSP that they've put on here through the reconfigured speakers gives an extraordinary acoustic piano playing experience for this price range. It's going to be really hard to beat. It's that warm tone, it's the richness of the sound, the speakers, the fact that this is now even easier to navigate. Bluetooth is easier now to access and deal with on here. I think this is going to be a contender. They have jumped the price up pretty substantially as a proportion of its original price point. I think it was $699, now it's $899. So they are playing in a slightly different league, whereas it used to be competing, say, with Roland's FP10 and almost directly against Yamaha's P125. Now it needs to hold its weight against the FP30X. Some of the Korg models. Yamaha doesn't really have something in this price range because they've stripped the P125 of a few features to keep it down really at the same price point as it has been before. So we will see if this kind of holds its own against the FP30X, which to me is its most direct competitor, and we've done a review on that. We hope this has been helpful. I've certainly enjoyed getting to know this instrument a lot, and for sitting down at something under $1,000 and just playing on my own, this really does hit a sweet spot. My name's Stu Harrison. This has been Merriam Pianos on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. It's the first time that you have logged in to see us here on YouTube. We would really appreciate you if you hit that subscribe and the notification bell. Take care, and we'll see you again soon.